What is your Tinder horror story? It ended up being a double date with his mom and her Cupid date. He told me that he and his mom were a package deal. I was mortified and there was no second date. Not me, but I worked as a bartender for a while and heard a lot of horror stories secondhand. This one girl who was a regular came in and told me about an awful Tinder date she had. Not sure of the specifics, but it wasn't bad enough for her to not bring him home afterward. He leaves the next morning, she brushes it off as a one-night stand, and a few days later, her debit card gets declined. Odd, since she is a bartender herself at a fairly busy place in our city and is good about saving and usually flush with cash. She goes to check her debit card. Turns out there were a bunch of charges at Best Buy, Grubhub, a bunch of other stuff. Curious, she checks her credit card too. There she found a bunch of charges for streaming services, Netflix, Hulu, Sling, everything. She goes to confront the guy and finds out he deleted his profile, but she remembers a friend they had in common on Facebook. She reaches out to the mutual friend to try and track him down and it turns out he did the exact same thing to that mutual friend. Not sure if what the outcome was, but she was out for blood after a mediocre hookup turned into a serious case of identity theft. I went on a Tinder date a couple months ago on a Sunday afternoon. Met up with the guy around 3. He had a really good energy and was funny and complimentary. The place we wanted to go had a long line, so we went to another restaurant on the water for a drink and appetizers. He started slamming down Mai Tais. I had 1. He had 3. They were strong. Like, I was tipsy borderline drunk off of 1. The bar had a 2 Mai Tai per person limit, but he found another bartender to get his 3rd. He got drunker and started telling me he loved me, joking at first but getting increasingly serious. As we left he asked me to marry him. I kind of laughed it off and was like, maybe we take it slow. We just met each other. He got so mad he stormed off and left me on a street corner. Then as soon as he got home, it was 5 PM, he started texting me, come over, and I miss you. He was 43. WTF. I've been waiting for the right thread for this. After a movie date with a guy I met on Tinder, we came back to my place. We'll call him Dude. I told him we could hang for a bit but I have work in the morning so I would need to go to sleep soon. Dude said that was fine, but he was hungry and he was going to order food. Okay, sure. Dude orders 2 large subs from Potbelly and a milkshake. Downs it. No judgment. He's 6'4", 210 pounds, younger still growing. By all means. I didn't think anything of it until later. We end up messing around a bit and fall asleep in bed. I wake up to my front door opening and closing several times over a 5-minute period. My dogs are going nuts, and it's 1 AM. What the heck is this guy doing? I open the door to my room that opens up to the rest of my apartment and my bathroom is to the left where the light is on and the door is wide open. I walk around the corner to make eye contact with Dude who is in a squatting position over my toilet, with a stick, poking around in murky brown poop water that is millimeters from overflowing onto my bathroom floor. Horrified, he yells, "Stop looking at me, go back to bed." I have it under control. I'm still waking up trying to understand what I'm seeing and what's going on, and I just start nervous laughing. I don't know what else to do. He yells, "Why don't you have a plunger?" And I said I don't know, I never needed one until now. He tells me to go back to bed. He has it under control. I'm so disturbed, tired, can't process what's happening and have work in the morning. I go back to bed. I remember hearing him peek in my room a bit later and heard, I fixed it, and then heard him leave and my door close behind him. The next morning, I hesitantly approach my toilet to find the water is down, but there is something poking out from the bottom of the toilet like he didn't get it all. Upon further inspection, what I was seeing was the tip of a stick, some gloves, towels and barbecue tongues. Later I pulled out approximately 3 foot of stick from my toilet that had broke off, followed by several other stick fragments. Dude had broke several sticks. I heard my door open and close so much, because he was going outside to look for a stick. One would break, he'd go get another. Dude had left drippy poop water stains all over my bathroom floor. He also left my apartment so fast that he left his underwear, and undershirt and socks. After work that day, I went straight to the store and bought a plunger. Lesson learned. Not me, my dad. Not Tinder either, it was Match.com. My dad had been on Match for about 3 months with some success. He is a tall Australian man who's decent looking, so he had some interest. One weekend he got sent his first nude, which he thought had strange, but brushed it off. Later that week he got 6 more nudes from the same woman. Before he blocked her, he decided that he would open them just for kicks. 5 of the pictures are just straight up vag shots, which he said were incredibly unappealing and had terrible lighting. The 6th picture, however, was something different. The woman was standing in her bra in front of a mirror, puss out, winking, with a bunch of herbs shoved in her bra. Basil, parsley, thyme, all that good stuff. The caption on the picture was spice rack. She was swiftly blocked after my dad stopped laughing long enough to find the block button. A chick said she was having a work party at her house and I should come over. It's Bob. So I bought a 6-pack for myself. Went to her place and noticed more than half of the people were younger, 17-18, while I was 21 and the girl was also 21. Then they gathered everyone in the living room and proceed to talk about the job. Turns out it was one of those pyramid scheme recruiting gatherings. I just sat there drinking my beer, only one drinking, for 2 hours because I thought it was rude to leave because they were telling sob stories and saying how much this job had helped them. Sat there listening to some head of the group guy saying how we can make millions in a short amount of time. Saying bullshit like, you see my BMW 3 Series out front, that's a company car that you can drive around in, if you do what we do. It was sad because they were trapping low income teens that are deciding not to go to college and to join them. After the pitch, I pretty much had enough and was preparing to leave. Then the girl came up to me and asked what I thought, and I just said it's not for me and I'm leaving. She asked if I wanted to take my beer and I said they needed it more than I did. 2 or 3 weeks later she sent me a text. Unfortunately we exchanged numbers, asking if the head of the group guy can call me and ask me questions on why I'm not signing up and how I thought the group session went. I didn't reply, but sure enough the dude called me and I politely said it's not for me, but he kept pushing. Finally I had to tell him to fuck off, and that was the end of that. Never went to work parties for a Tinder date again. It was a complete shit show, and if it wasn't for the beer I brought or the Tinder date's dog, I would have just left. Looking back on it, during the pitch, the head of the group guy said at one point, if you're not interested in making $1 million, you can just leave. No one's stopping you. I really wish I stood up, chugged my beer and said fuck this shit. You guys are all stupid and no one should be joining. You will ruin your lives, and walk out. But that's just a daydream I have in the shower. Edit words and stuff, and thank you kind strangers for my first awards. So I met this girl on Tinder and went for a lunch date. We had a pretty good connection, so we decided to have dinner as well. After having a few drinks, one thing led to another and ended up back at my place. We hooked up and went to sleep. Middle of the night I wake up. She's intensely staring at me while she's crouched behind the bed. I asked her if everything is alright. She said yes and got back into bed. I thought little creepy, but probably nothing to worry about. Not my story, but I knew a guy who had a Freudian slip, more dark side Kermit, bad enough that it ruined everything. I was told this by him after he got home, and suffice to say he was like, why the fuck did I say that? Date had been going well, and they were walking back to a bus station. They passed a creepy alley, and she said something to the effect of, wow, I would not like to go down that alley. To which he responded, I imagine you are very rapeable. Suffice to say, she ran for the hills and he was mortified. He very much was not a creepy person and had no clue why the hell he said that, nor has he, to the extent of my knowledge, raped anyone. But Christ almighty, do I agree with the girl's decision to run. He gave me my first kiss. I didn't hear from him for 2 days. On the 3rd day he texted me that he had been arrested. Haven't heard from him since. Edit. 1. Yes, I know for a fact he was arrested. It was confirmed by multiple other people, one of whom didn't know we were together. 2. He was arrested for getting into a fight, wherein he threatened to stab someone. 3. Yes, You can't text from jail. According to hearsay, his ex bailed him out. Posted this before but I've an update, so here we go. Went on a date with a girl off Tinder and we hit it off okay. No real chemistry though and figured I'd never see her again. Next night she texts me and tells me she's at a bar near me for a birthday and that I should come through. I figure why not and meet up and end up having a great time. She's super chatty and there's definitely something there that wasn't there the night before. After a few hours she tells me we should go back to my place. Why the hell not? We're talking the entire cab ride back and she's coherent and fine. We get to my place and she opens up her door and plumps onto the street. She has somehow become blackout drunk during the 10-minute cab ride. At this point she is incoherent and can't tell me where she lives, so I pick her up and walk her up the block to my place, up 3 flights, and settle her in my room. I don't feel okay sharing a bed with her when she's like this, so I'll leave her some water and put a trash can by the bed, just in case, and start to leave my room and head to the couch. I hear something as I get to the door and turn back in time to see her roll off my bed, hit her neck on the corner of the trash can, and slam onto the floor. She then starts painting the walls like a sprinkler. I just watch it happen for a minute. I can't do anything. Once she stops, I pick her up and take her to the bathroom. She starts round 2 as I go back to my room and start cleaning up. After a few minutes, I go check on her and she is passed out in my toilet. At this point, she is completely immobile and I can't get her up. She has become 50 pounds heavier. So I grab a pillow, put her head in my lap, and resolve to sleep in the bathroom with her, worried my roommate might stumble upon her in the middle of the night. After a few hours of rough sleep she wakes me up and tells me she needs to use the bathroom. I leave and let her do her thing. After about 15 minutes, I get worried and go to knock on the door only to find it ajar. I push it open only to be confronted with a wall of stink. She has passed out on my toilet while taking the most obscene shit, and her head is now jammed between the toilet back and my sink somehow. I managed to get her head free but she is out. I can't do anything anymore. I can't get her up and I can't wipe her ass for her, so I'll leave her and go to the couch. After a few hours I hear her get up and go to my bed. I check in on her and she is out, fully clothed, in my bed, and covered in puke still. Defeated, I go back to the couch. Have to work early in the morning, so I go to check in on her around 7 AM only to find she has gotten her period in my bed. I leave her $10, a t-shirt and jeans, and directions to the nearest laundromat. She texted me later apologizing and we went on another date and ended up sleeping together. It only becomes painfully clear to me later that she was probably roofied by someone at the bar and I should have gotten her medical attention. Fast forward 4 years, I go to a holiday party for my girlfriend's company and she's there. Turns out she's dating one of my GF's clients. She doesn't recognize me and I don't make an attempt to remind her.